Welcome back, everyone. I'm Follygon, and in this episode we're going to find out why 2D artists are dirty little cheaters. Also, I like carrots. Snack time. Whenever I see an image like this one, I cringe. And I don't cringe because it's bad. It's a really good drawing, a really good illustration and digital painting by Max Greca. I follow him on Instagram, and he does a ton of great art. He's super talented. And I don't cringe at this because it's bad, but I cringe at this image because it's impossible. It's impossible for a 3D artist to create without cheating. Now, 2D artists are working only in 2 dimensions, right? The X and Y. They don't have to worry about Z depth. They don't have to worry about real depth. They can fake it, and they can also cheat it a lot, which is what's happening here. It's a really cool illustration. It looks like Homer Simpson got like slapped or punched or hit or something to where he's like being pushed back, but the body that's happening there is just so broken. And it might not be something that you pick up on immediately, but when I started creating it in ZBrush, and I'll pull it up now here for you guys, you can see that it looks great from one view, but as I start to turn it around, you're gonna realize that, yeah, some things are a little wonky here. So this front view is how I rendered the image. I have perspective on over here, you can see that. And as I showed you before, as we start to kind of turn this around, and I'll zoom out here as well, you can kind of see that some things are a little wonky and broken. And that's because there are some decisions that I had to make to kind of make this illustration and final render work and look pretty similar to the original. Just looking at the front here, you can kind of see from our render view again, it looks like the teeth are aligned in the mouth properly, but as we turn to that front view, you can kind of see that I had to nudge those to the side to kind of make that work more from that view. Similarly, I did almost the exact same thing with the ears. To make the ear hidden from this front perspective view here, kind of had to push this other ear, his right ear, back and kind of pull it in a tiny bit. And that results in the 3D model, again, just being a little bit weird. So the reason I'm showing you guys this is so you can understand that when you're trying to copy a concept or an illustration, that you don't always need to keep it exactly how it is in the illustration. Some things are just not possible. Now, on one hand, you can try to keep the 3D model as close to the illustration as possible. I have that here already in ZBrush, imported using Spotlight. I use this for most of my reference images, just so that I can keep them in here. What I really want to show you is that the image is not exactly the same. There's going to be some differences. And most of those differences, and this isn't aligned as good as it could be, but most of these differences are because I could not do some of the stuff that is present in this image. This slope of his body on his right side and the slope on his left with his arm. Now, I tried to kind of replicate that in 3D, as you can see here. I tried to kind of keep this one more shoulder and hump shape, and then on the other side, I tried to get more of a slope, but the truth is that his body is just like very contorted in this image. Almost like it's being very stretched back, and I wanted it to kind of have that feeling, but I also wanted it to make sense in the in terms of anatomy. Obviously, it's not an anatomically perfect character. It's not realistic by any means, but I want there to be some kind of anatomical truth there to make the character more believable from a 3D kind of perspective point of view and from multiple different angles. So as I was saying, 2D artists can cheat. 3D artists can cheat too, just not as much. We're not just creating it from one image. You might be if you're doing it for a final render, kind of like I was, but you still have to make it look good and at least decent from some other angles. Why would I be working in 3D if I'm just going to end with a 2D render and have that be all that it is? So he's a bit lopsided, he's a bit wonky, But like I was saying before, you need to find that middle ground of, are you going to follow the illustration as best as you can, or are you going to make the character make sense in 3D space? I like to try to get as close to the illustration as possible while still maintaining some kind of anatomical correctness and form to a realistic character. Now, this might not be something that you guys think about a ton, but whenever I'm seeing some really cool concepts and I'm like, damn, I want to make that in 3D, the first thing that comes to mind is that even possible? Does this character make sense for 3 dimensions? Hello, this is Ben. No, this is Ben. Where was I? So maybe this quick little video, this quick little model kind of gets you thinking more about how you can kind of interpret other people's 2D concepts and get them into 3D. At least get you considering about kind of where you're gonna fall on that line of looking more like the illustration or being more of a realistic anatomically character, or not even anatomically, but just having the forms make more sense. So that's all I got for this one, guys. I just wanted to show off this 3D model for you really quick here, get you thinking about how you're going to convert 2D images more into 3D models in the future, and I hope you guys learned something new, maybe got a little inspired, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. This is why we have the water.